Hello.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay,
You're recording this for posterity?
we're trying something different. We launched a new website. We actually redid the old website. The old website was great, but it needed to be greater. And time moves on, and so it's more robust. And one of the things I can do with it is we're going to be storing these on it. So be careful what you say. but whatever. Who's going to listen to this? I don't think too many people. I don't think we're going to get to a congressional hearing. Okay. So if anything, I first got to listen to it and see if it's even quality. So
who's on?
Is that Ralph?
Yes.
Danny Hutchinson, Steve Hornstein.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
Hi. Good morning.
Good Shabbos, Ralph.
Good Shabbos, everybody. Okay. So I was speaking to Ralph. We're going to cut this down to 18 minutes. We're going to be like, if you leave dough out for more than 18 minutes it becomes chametz. Matzah is the state you want to keep it in. So I think after 18 minutes, this shiur could become chametz too. And so we're full of ego and inflated and things that isn't necessary. So we're just going to accomplish what we can in up to 8:18, and then we can start. We can then start from there for next week.
Great.
So
let's go.
Yeah. So if we don't get through to the material, it's okay. There's endless material. This is about being deliberate in judgment, and this is one of the great strategies in life is being deliberate in judgment. If you would look over your life and say, gosh, had I only sat and thought about that, a little bit more, I would have not lost the $50,000, or I would have, taken that trip instead of this trip, or whatever, wrong school. I didn't think about it, or I didn't know how to think about it. And we think about and the leverage of sitting deliberately and knowing how to deliberate in thinking can change our lives and make it so much better. But we have to have confidence in our ability to do this. And we have an innate ability to do this. We just don't exercise it, or we're just not aware of it. And one of the things is we do have to mull things over in life. There are times when it's like, let me think about that. By the way, the Reb Noach Weinberg always said, if you wanted to tell your wife no on her question, and she won't, he says, wait a day. Let her ask the question and say, let me get back to you on that. Let me think about it. And then the next day, so I thought about it then, but we can't do that. At least they thought you thought about it, and which is a very important idea, is that we give them that consideration, and we give things in life that consideration. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
We hear you.
Okay, so now, but the thing is, you got, if you look at like Dave Roberts with the L.A. Dodgers. Baseball's a slow game, right? So is he mulling things over and sitting on things for a couple innings or two? Yeah. At the same time, the situation can change dramatically. He already knows who he wants to pitch in the next games, and all of a sudden the other team scores 5 runs in an inning, and now he's got to redo everything in the bullpen, and it's going to affect the next 3 games. So how does he do that? He's got to think on his feet. So how is he going to do that so quickly? When it looks like baseball's a very methodical, deliberate, slow game. That's because he's learned how to think deliberately, quickly, which is what we all need to do. If you were walking across a parapet on a skyscraper, and there was 1,000 feet on each side straight down, but you had to walk across it, and all you had was yourself, you'd take each step so carefully, and it would take you a while. But all of a sudden, if a maniac with a hatchet appeared behind you and was coming for you, you'd learn how to run a little faster across that parapet. You'd keep moving. And that's what we lead. That's what deliberate thinking really becomes. It's rushing with caution. And otherwise, we just panic and freeze. Do you see that in life? How you've gotten better at making quick decisions, yet they're slow. They're deliberate decisions. Anyone want to share a quick idea on that?
Yeah, but sometimes we make the wrong decision when we're in a hurry.
Yes, we do. And so you have to be able. It's almost like you're able to think in fast motion, in slow motion. You're right. You have. The whole thing is to take the panic out of the decision, because you're used to thinking on your feet in a deep way quickly. That's what we're trying to accomplish. You can see how powerful that would be.
I think that one of the things that let's not miss that if you have the time, okay, let's walk through this for 1 second and see if this makes sense. I think everybody knows that the Benjamin Franklin, two sides of the story. The yellow pad with the line down the middle, the pluses and the negatives to a particular.
That's so beautiful. That's what we're going to talk about later. That's great. That's great, Ralph. Go ahead.
And the thing is that if you're new at it, it takes you a lot of time. If you haven't made a lot of decisions in a particular area, you need to deliberate. And the guy with the hatchet may end up killing you, because it's you have to make a decision, but the more you make a decision in any particular arena, for example, whoever's on the phone, I know Steve is, I don't know who else is on the phone. Whatever your profession is, I suspect that you've done it for long enough that, not that it's rote, but you have enough information, enough data to be able to look at a problem, let's call it, or a situation, and assess it with some level of speed that might not be instant, but you've been there before. You've done it before.
You've seen the patterns. Yeah. Right,
and
that's right.
The issue, in terms of the title of this, leveraging your mind, I'm wondering if there are some other tools that one can use to help make decisions. I mean, there are some people, and frankly, I do it sometimes. You know what? I'm going to sleep on it. I really do. And I may not even be thinking about it consciously, but subconsciously a process is going on that allows me to come up with something.
Yeah, so let's talk about some techniques. That's a great idea. So one idea is, someone's going to ask you, about decisions, and they're going to give you material. They may give you material to read, or you'll get material to read about that decision. It could be an investment, could be whatever, and you're going to have materials to review. So you just can't look at that material once over and then make a decision about it. That's not Jewish. What we do is Rev Noach says, number one is you got to summarize the information as you go, because that shows you're actively reading. But you should review in Judaism. We say you review a subject at least 4 times, if not 5. And it's very interesting. If you look at a page of Talmud, I'm happy to show you this at some point, that there's a great commentator. His name is Rashi. And Rashi was French. He lived in the 1100s, and he was the greatest commentator on the Talmud that ever lived. And at the top, before you have the Talmud, you have Rashi's commentary, and he's on one half of the page. Whatever, he's on one column. That column has 4 lines above the Talmud. It always starts with 4 lines of Rashi before the Talmud, then he goes down the right side of the Talmud. I'll show you sometime. They say, why does Rashi have 4 lines? Why did the printer put in 4 lines of Rashi before he got to the Talmud? Because to understand the Talmud, you got to review it 4 times, at least, or you're not going to begin to really appreciate what Rashi is telling you. So, for example, We say it's like planting in a field. It's like having a crop. Number one is the first time you go through something, you're just plowing the earth. You're just looking at what is this? They want me to invest what? $250,000 in what's this idea? Franchises. You're just reading through the prospectus. The second time you're going through, so you're breaking it up and you're getting rid of preconceptions. The second time you're going through it, you're planting seeds. You're beginning to make some sense to what you're reading. The third time is you're beginning to reap the crop. You're remembering. Okay, yeah, I got that point before. I see how that ties into that other point over here. I didn't quite understand that. Okay, now I see. And the fourth time is when you prepared it. You're grinding this thing down. You're getting it. We say really go the fifth time, which is like bake the bread and eat it, or digest it. Now I read this thing 5 times. I can digest it. I can talk about it. I can understand it. And so sometimes we just rush through things, and this comes really apparent when you read, if you've ever done the New York Times and just totally given over a day, and you just read that thing through, or something like that, and then someone comes up to you and says, "What'd you read? What's news?" And you go, let's see. There was a mine accident in Cambodia, and I don't know if the Yankees won or lost. I read the sports section, can't quite remember. That's what we do. A quick read through of a lot of material. Think about books that you've read 2 or 3 times. What's the difference? Geometry, is it? Have you ever done that? Do you feel like it's a better experience reading something through 2 or 3 times? Do you want to read something? Is
we
this
can
resonating?
Think about it when we read it the second time. You
can think about
it. The first time it's all new. The second time, we already know it. We've heard it before. Now we can sort of read into it, with memory markers.
Mm-hmm. That's the idea. That's how to become more deliberate in what you do. And Ralph said something. Sometimes you got to just sleep on it. Sometimes you got to stick it aside for a week and come back to it. Let me now address it. I read it. I thought about it. Now let me look at it again. Totally true. You're familiar enough to deal with it, but you need some space with it. Otherwise, it's you're just with a wall of information, and you have no time to really. You can't dwell on it. So there's another Jewish idea, and tell me if anybody does this. Before you go to bed at night, do you review your day? You just lived a day, a precious day. Do you sit and think about that day and how it went? Do you write it in a journal? Anybody?
It's an interesting thing. Actually, sure. I started one, and I got to 2 weeks, and then I either got lazy or felt it wasn't something. But I have often thought, I don't know if anybody else has on this line, but some of the founders of this country and great people, 100 years later, somebody publishes their journal,
right?
And it's Churchill, presidents, and obviously these people have taken the time, taken 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the end of a tired day. Generals have done it, and the value in that, I suspect, not only is it to the recording of something that might be historical, either on a personal or national basis, but to review what you did in the context of preparing for the following day.
Exactly. And also, by the way, it's a great journal. It's a great piece to leave to our children and grandchildren. Like, this, Grandpa wrote this. Whoa. Wow, look at the decisions he had to face. Look how he looked at things. It would give them so much a deeper understanding than looking at a picture of you that, has been on the wall for 50 years, but they don't know who you are. So, but more to the point of just helping us in our lives is at least we should sit on the bed for 5 minutes and go, what did I do today? How could I have done it better? And how did I do it great? Like, wow, that was a really good decision, or that was a really good move, or that was a really good whatever. Otherwise, we're rushing through life, and what do we say when we're rushing through life? People say, like, happy birthday, like, yeah, how did I get here? Whew, another birthday. What happened? All right, we're on the 2-minute warning, so I'm just gonna give you a closing thought. And also, in the morning when you wake up, it's not too late. It's only 8:16 or 8:17. So like you could sit for 2 minutes after this phone call and just think about what you did yesterday. You can review yesterday first thing in the morning and go, okay, that was a bad thought. That was shouldn't have gone down that, a thought pattern or whatever. I'm going to make today better than yesterday. Wouldn't you like to live yesterday over if you could? Yes, you can in a certain way by reviewing it and working on today. That's part of being deliberate. So if life is worth living, life is worth mulling over. Otherwise, we're overloaded. The information is unsorted. It's unassimilated. It's undigested. It sits in your gut. You know what that feeling is like. It's like, ah. So we're going to talk more next week about being deliberate and how it can be we can live a much more powerful life in the process. Good Shabbos, everybody.
Thank you. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos. Take care.
Good Shabbos.
Shabbos.